Hello, stunning tubers, and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy Renaissance Solo Dark Knight Edition with Jack. Just Jack Garland. Pleased to meet you. And this BlueAnkylo here, running the show. We are level 20, grinded a little bit last episode after our rather difficult trip to kill the vampire, but hey, we did kill him eventually. Well, we escaped eventually. Today, after a little bit of bonus grinding, maybe it'll be a little bit easier getting down there, dealing with the Lich. I really don't think we're gonna have that much trouble with the Lich if we can get there. The problem is, well, those stunning tubers looking at me and touching me and making me die, basically. Yeah, not a lot we can really do about it with this guy. I've been trying to think of any possible tricks I can pull out my sleeve to make this a little bit more reliable. I can't think of anything else other than just grinding levels for the sake of grinding levels. 2 magic defense per level, no luck, no agility. It's not going to change very much. So we're going to go at level 20, and that's unfortunate because I think we probably could have killed the Lich in the teens. Like level 15, 16 probably would have been enough in terms of like raw damage. But hey, you know, we're not very good at running away. And that's all that really matters, is not getting ambushed and running away from Geist, basically. Now, we're a little bit higher level than last trip to the vampire, which means a few more enemies run away from us. But as you can see, just in demonstration purposes, we do not succeed very often at the whole escape thing. Now, one thing, if this goes badly, if I want to grind out maybe 4 more levels, we do get a breakpoint for damage. We'll get a 3rd attack, which will feel quite nice. I don't think it functionally makes very much difference. That's too many images. I could kill them one at a time, but please run. That would be 1 dead, in theory, and then we're stunned. So even if I'd attacked them, right, like, we just got stunned. I think the first fight is a loss. All right, add 1 to the counter. I'm not going to sit around while we take 1 damage for hours. It is possible we recover, but that was like the first fight on the stun floor, so it's probably faster just to reset. What was I saying before I got brutally stunned and murdered? Yeah, I just can't think of much else we could do. 4 levels would, you know, we'd hit things harder. It would make the Lich probably a more reliable fight if we are getting there. Like, if we get to the Lich and die terribly once or twice, maybe I will go grind some more, because that might be a bottleneck, but maybe I get a fight before the stun floor? I don't know. It's hard to know if this was saving me from stun dead or just setting up the next stun dead fight earlier, but we have more steps with no encounters right here. Does that make a difference? I don't know. Still haven't looked up any encounter tables. Kind of refusing to on principle at this point. This is not the hardest solo challenge, so no need to go too crazy here, I guess. And we'll be back. You know, there's a lot of bats. And there is a pretty great sword that I just don't have the effort to grab and get out. Well, there's only 4 of them. Maybe I stick around for a while and see if I break free. We're a little bit further than the last try. How you guys doing? How's the YouTubers doing? I need a conversation. I need something to talk about while we're basically just stun locked forever in Earth, because apparently that's all that happens with solo Dark Knights and some other classes. It's almost better when you're a bard or something, because you just die so fast. You take all the damage and bam, you're dead. So as soon as you're stunned, you just reload. For me, though, for this guy, you're like, well, there's a chance. You know, we've got a lot of turns to wake up, so surely we have a chance. So what should we talk about today? I could talk to you about my D&D party. So I'm a DM, part-time 5th edition D&D. I got a couple different groups I play with. I got a new game started with one group where I'm a player, but I definitely do a fair amount of DMing. My current DMing campaign is Rime of the Frost Maiden. I'm not going to spoil anything if you're playing it or anything, but it is fun. Maybe I'll have a couple mild spoilers, depending on how long this goes. But my group's like level 4. They're kind of done the first chapter of like checking out the 10 towns, helping out some people. I think they've made enemies of about half the towns. About average, I think. Looks like we lose after all. Well, I saw paralysis wore off. I just about reset. It was worth it. It was worth waiting. Honestly, we probably could have came back here in the same amount of time, but okay, redeemed. We'll see if this makes it the run now that we survived, you know, however long that was. But yeah, while we're just talking about stuff, you know, there's Final Fantasy stuff to talk about when we get there. But in between Final Fantasy stuff, I got my Rime of the Frostmaiden campaign. We've got a kind of using a mix of like the 2014 and the 2024 rules. Just giving the players some of the new stuff, basically, without trying to do like a full conversion. But I'm enjoying the new monk. I've got a player who's a monk, and they went Darkness Monk or Shadow Monk or whatever it's called. And they are pretty sweet. Once they get level 3, they get their spend a key point, or I guess they're focus points now, but whatever, same difference. And they can cast the Darkness spell, which normally kind of slept on a little bit, I think. Not super effective, like... Big breath. Nope. Alright, there we go. So much for that. So, Darkness Monk, pretty cool. I think Monk's got a huge upgrade in 2024, so if you haven't played one yet, I would recommend them. Now, I don't know about the other ones. There's like Elemental Monk and Mercy Monk and stuff like that. They're different. I don't know what their really niche is, but the Shadow Monk seems pretty solid. Because they can summon that darkness, and they can see through it, which is pretty cool. So they basically get advantage against all the enemies they're attacking, and the enemies get disadvantage attacking them, you know, for the most part, especially early game. Not a lot of enemies have blind sight. So for the most part, the monk has a huge advantage over enemies, and they can't really be targeted by spells, because spellcasters can't see them in the darkness. And unlike the normal darkness spell, they can move it around every turn for free. So you can see through it, you can move it around, enemies kind of get nerfed. It's actually completely trivialized quite a few encounters. So I'm kind of hoping my players don't abuse it too much. We're probably dead again. First fight, awesome. Yeah, okay. How many is that? 3 attempts now? I really should have a counter for these. So yeah, I'd say Shadow Monk is doing great. They're level 4, so they picked up the grappler feat. That's another big change in the new version. It lets you grab things when you punch them, or hit them, or whatever. I can't remember if it's unarmed specifically, but it works really well with the monk, because the monk gets a lot of attacks. And being able to grapple an enemy doesn't completely kill them. It just means they can't move. But it also gives the grappler advantage, because this is something new. They didn't used to get it. The old grappler feat and grappling actions were always not useless, but not as effective as I hoped, basically. And the new version, you get to grapple, and then you have advantage on the grappled target when you're attacking them. And that feels pretty good. So, that's cool. I think there's something else you can do. I think you can pull them further. So the idea is like you can grapple somebody and then drag them and throw them off a cliff or something. That hasn't happened yet, but I'm looking forward to it. That'll be a fun scene. So yeah, Monk, Shadow Monk, grappling, that's all pretty fun. What else have I got? I got a Ranger, Gloomstalker Ranger. Now, Gloomstalker... So Rangers are another one of those classes that are a little bit weak in 5th edition. I think they're better in 2024. It's kind of using the Tasha's Cauldron updates mostly, which are probably better. And I think the Beastmasters are like the original 2014. Everyone knows the original Beastmaster Ranger was pretty bad. Sorry, Beastmaster lovers, but the original one, the action economy, we talk about that in this game all the time. The action economy was bad. You know, you can attack or your animal can attack. Great, and your animal has like 10 hit points, well, 20 or something. It's not great. So they, we're going to be here a while because I'm almost done this floor. I'm not resetting them until we're out, maybe. This is even less likely to escape than the image, though, I think. Because the images only hit us once, whereas the Geist hit us 3 times. But, it gives me time to talk about my Ranger. So they're going, like, dual wielding, and that means we get to play with the Weapon Masteries, another new 2024 feature. They get a lot of attacks with dual wielding. the Nick property with Weapon Mastery, that you get an extra swing, basically. And then they took the dual-wielding feat at level 4, so they can attack, I think, 3 times per round right now with 2 weapons. And at level 5, that'll be 4 times per round. I feel like that's gotta feel nice, right? A lot of attacks. Not the highest damage per attack. I'm not sure it's... My group isn't like min-maxing, max DPR kind of people. So they're just kind of having fun role-playing and just making cool stuff. But yeah, getting a lot of attacks feels great. Unlikely to miss 4 in a row, you know. Even if you're not doing huge damage, you're at least hitting. The Gloomstalker effects don't come up as often as I was thinking they would. You're invisible in dim light or darkness to enemies that use dark vision, which seems really cool, but it's mostly like... Ooh, I got a turn! Click! Nope. Never got in action. Oh, wait, I recovered immediately! Click! Nope. And, put my controller back down. So, they've had a couple times to, like, sneak around a town at night where no one could see them, and that was cool. But it's hard to have that... the Gloomstalker ability, I always thought should come up all the time, but it's hard. Like, because if the party can't see, they're invisible. The ranger's invisible, but then, like, my party can't see, and then they're casting light spells because they need to see things, and then that undoes the invisibility. So it's kind of finicky to get it to really work. I think you need, like, the whole party to make dark vision sneaky characters like that. And unfortunately, like, the Darkness Monk doesn't synergize with the Gloomstalker even, because the Gloomstalker can't see through the dark cloud. Although that might be something I add in, actually. I was thinking about that. Maybe not yet, like level 6 or 7 or something. I might just throw in the ability that, like, it kind of makes sense the Gloomstalker could see through it as well, maybe, or some number of times per day they could activate it or something. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But it seems like a synergy that should exist. It just doesn't exist on paper. Or like a little magic item that can do it or something, of course. But I think the Rangers do need a little bit of an improvement in the new rules. So I'm kind of looking for stuff like that. I gave him a magic sword pretty early on. So he's got like a flaming sword that doesn't emit light because it would ruin his invisibility. But yeah, it's fun. I think it's an improvement. I think everyone complains a Hunter's Mark is like mandatory, but Hunter's Mark is fun. I don't know. My player likes it at least. And it does apply to all the damage. So if you're attacking 4 times, you can't do it on your first round because bonus action economy, right? But in theory, once you've got Hunter's Mark on a target, if you hit them 4 times, you add the Hunter's Mark damage on every single attack. That seems pretty good. But that's like, takes a little bit of setup. And I like that when it takes a little bit of setup to get it to really come online. So that's Gloomstalker Ranger. We got the Shadow Monk. I've got a fighter, just a Battle Master Dwarven fighter, the classic. This is my player who's like, she doesn't, she's not like, she's more of an observer, passive player, I guess. I don't know, not to be derogatory or anything. Just she is here for the show and to participate a little bit. She's not like super active for ideas and stuff. So she kind of wanted like an easier character to play anyway. And yeah, she took like the tough origin feat, the defensive fighting style, and heavy armor master for her level 4 feat. She is like unkillable in terms of like damage. It's great. The enemies, like, whenever there's a tough fight, you just throw her character in the middle. She's not doing a whole lot of damage with 1 attack just yet, but her maneuvers are pretty cool when she thinks of them. And I don't think she's ever gone to 0 hit points. I don't think it's possible. Not at low levels, really. So it feels good to just be invincible almost. At least for now, you know, I'll push her eventually, but for now it's nice to be the tanky one in the group. I definitely let the enemies pile up on her a bit, which is nice because my last party member is a wizard, and the Herongon wizard, Chrono, what's it called? Whatever the School of Chronergy. It's not even an official class. I was being a little generous, I guess. It's the Matt Mercer one. I forget what it's from, but. Chronomancy wizard, it's maybe a little bit strong for other wizard schools, perhaps. I think some of the spells in it and abilities are perhaps a little bit on the OP side, but it's okay, because, you know, it's D&D, I can always... He does have very low hit points, so if I ever get annoyed by his time shenanigans, I just have some ogre smash him and he dies instantly. So, you know, it is standard wizard rules. He's very squishy. But yeah, a rabbit that has a clock and likes to go fast, you know. So yeah, that's fun. I should probably try to find some more Alice in Wonderland references to throw into the campaign if I can think of them. I mean, I guess I have to do the Snicker Snack thing at some point then, now that I think about it. It's not really a sword for the wizard, but... This is really sad. We almost made it to the Lich's floor. And we might not. But yeah, the wizard's doing okay. Not much to talk about. Wizards are just super... They're very fragile low levels, but they can cast all kinds of crazy spells. And... Oh, I woke up. Oh. Come on, Jack. So that's my party. And because it's not actually part of the story, I'll tell you what my group is doing. Because it's not part of the original campaign. There is a faction of Zentarim who aren't... They're present in the campaign, but they don't really do much. And if you're not familiar with Zentarim, they're just the Black Network. You know, they're hired mercenaries for profit. It's kind of like a American gangster kind of thing, like the Mafia usually, where they kind of have a level of... Are we really going to die here? Come on, Jack. So close, yet so far. So anyway, the Zentarim exist, and although they have like a level of... Like, I would say most of the random people that live there don't even know they're Zentarim. They kind of have a network, and they do like honest work, but honestly they do a lot more, you know, illegal activities below that no one knows about. So, you know, kind of classic crime family stuff, I guess. Anyway, there's a few of them, and the party kind of clashed with them pretty early on, sort of by accident. Actually, I don't think they realized they were walking into Mafia territory, basically. And they had a cool idea. They wanted to make a... because, you know, it's the campaign setting is like everything's frozen. It's eternal winter. There's no summer. There's no sun hardly. The lakes are freezing over. So the fishermen, you know, the people that keep the towns fed, basically, they have to drag their boats across the ice to get to the center of where the water's not completely frozen to do fishing, basically. And my party was like, let's invent a sled, an ice sled that can drag the boats across the ice easier. And they did some rolls, they did some crafting. It took a little money, investment, and stuff. But I let them invent something. I don't know, just kind of a cool little ice sled idea. They wanted to like monetize it, of course, you know, as the players do. And I was fine with all this. Of course, they picked the town with the Mafia to go to the docks to sell it. And, like, it didn't take long for word to get around to, you know, the bosses that some upstart adventurers were trying to sell stuff without, you know, permission, basically. They didn't... And the whole town is really, like, it's not even a surprise. The party knew that you had to get permission to do business in this town. Like, they were either had forgotten or were choosing to ignore the local law, basically. There's a fishing cartel, I call it, basically. And they were gonna maybe break the fishing cartel up by selling directly to the fishermen, maybe, was the idea. But it's not that big of a town. It's, you know, the fishing guild got there within, like, half an hour or something. It didn't take them too long. And they didn't even just attack the party. They were like, we need a conversation. Come talk to the boss, you know? We need a discussion about this business. And I was actually planning on basically offering them a deal where, you know, they could do business if they basically bribed them or cut them into the profits or something like that. Kind of schemy stuff, right? Like the Mafia might be willing to do. At least I assume. You know, as long as you ask permission first and, you know, pay up what you need to pay up, then you can do some business. That's okay. But they were not into it at all, of course. The players were like, no, you cannot have our sled idea. We're not going to work with you. This is our idea. And we refuse. And the thing was, it's like, okay, well, let's go talk to the boss. And they went along with the guards, the armed guards, and they kind of found more and more guards as they went. And they got led to this, like, warehouse on the docks. And as they were entering, the guards were like, all right, leave your weapons here. You can go talk to the boss in the back room. And leave your sled out front. And they did it. They didn't even bat an eye. And I'm like, I try to give them a above warning. I'm like, guys, there's like a dozen armed guards now, and you're giving up all your weapons. I mean, I know one of you is a monk, and the wizard doesn't need them that badly, but this isn't great. Like, am I not like foreshadowing the threat enough? Like, what do I need to say? Like, you need to see some guy getting dunked into the water head first in the background somewhere. I don't know. I tried to make it seem pretty ominous, but they wanted to go talk to him. I think I let them take their weapons. They made eventually they decided to make a charisma check or something and talk their way through. So they kept their weapons at least, but it was looking like they were just going along with everything too easily for a little while. But they went back and they met with the boss, and kind of refused to deal business with him. And I think they're like, well, fine, we'll just leave. We're taking our sled. We'll just leave your city. And they're like, no, we'll be keeping your sled for, failure to follow the law of the town, right? And the party was like, no, we will destroy it before we give it to you. So they made a mad dash to try to burn their sled down and run away. But they did not succeed because there was a lot of guards, and they had a chance, I guess, but it was a slim one. Kind of like my chance of getting through Earth Cave here with Jack. About the same. Maybe they had better odds than Jack did. So they eventually had to flee, and they left the town, and they left their sled behind. In fact, they almost lost their. They have some chocobos. I mean, they're axe beaks, but they're basically chocobos. They use them for traveling around they would be snow chocobos, white chocobos. I don't know, whatever. Axe beaks in D&D are basically that. So they almost lost those two, but they had a friend on the inside of the town. I was trying to set them up with some allies, actually. They just didn't want to deal with them, I guess. But they had done a quest for some people, and they're like, hey, I've got some friends. If you're in town, like, go talk to these guys. They know maybe a secret way in, and, got some friends rather than dealing straight with the mafia, right? But the party managed to avoid all the obvious plot hooks and just kind of run in there themselves. But, they got out, they got their birds back, and they left, and they're, like, plotting revenge, basically. But, of course, things just keep happening in the background, and later on, in a different town, they had this pretty cool magic item that was really big. It's like a cauldron of food or something. And they didn't really need it. It doesn't do anything for the party much. Like, it just provides food. So the idea is, like, the townspeople want it, right? Because infinite food for a starving population is really valuable. So, of course, one of the other mayors of the towns is offering to buy it for tons of money. More money than the party's ever seen, really. And although they did some negotiating, they're like, okay, this makes sense. Get the town's mayors to basically use it for the greater good, and, makes sense, right? And they were willing to sell it. And I'm like, okay, so we're gonna gather up the amount of money they wanted. Was gonna take a couple days to gather up all the gems and stuff, basically. And my party was like, okay, we'll trust you more than I trust these birds. And I think they were told it would take 2 days, and that they were welcome to guard, like, stay in town and keep an eye on things if they wanted. The town guard was gonna look after the cauldron, because it was really big. It's not like you can really carry it around everywhere you go. So they're like, we'll just keep this at the town hall, we'll guard it. It's still yours, but, they're worried about you losing it on the road or something, because if the party got eaten by trolls, the town would starve, kind of thing. So they're like, we'll pay you, but can we make sure we don't lose this? Kind of like a layaway, I guess, or something. And the party was cool with it. Like, they didn't seem to mind. And they were definitely offering, like, hey, you can stick around and help guard it if you are worried. And they're like, yeah, but nah. So they left. They did some other quest for another town, which is fine. But while they were gone, those Zentarim heard about it. And they have this nifty new ice sled. So they broke into the enemy mayor's town hall. And they actually had technically they had a spy in that town hall as well. It was all technically set up in advance, really. They knew all about it because they had a spy. That's how the Zentrim work. And once the party was away, they had an opening to grab it, and they did. So my party came back having found the town in a bit of a bad shape. The mayor was locked up and beaten a bit, but you know, they didn't actually kill anybody technically. They just stole the cauldron. Now my party is real mad, big mad. And there's a couple other complications that are kind of fun to deal with. I'm still thinking about how to handle it. Obviously, I'm adding a relatively significant dungeon / boss fight to deal with the Zentrum now, because that'll be... I'm sure they're going to go there pretty soon to try to get their revenge. But while they were doing one of their other quests, they ran into this ogre. And so before they realized the cauldron was gone. And they kind of took pity on the ogre. It didn't do very well in the fight. It kind of just rolled a bunch of nat ones and hit itself, and it didn't really hurt the party at all, and it kind of talked and seemed confused. Like, it rolled really badly, so I kind of made him seem more pitiful than dangerous. So they decided to knock him out rather than killing him, and then they wanted to interrogate him. And he didn't know much because he's this dumb ogre. But they kind of took pity on him because he was just hungry and thirsty and wanted some alcohol, and just a lazy ogre. He wasn't, like, super violent, I decided. And technically he was maybe smarter than the average ogre because he had some friends and kind of a small community. So the party was, like, trying to find a way to, like, get him an honest job or use him to help them, you know, help them in their quest or something. And they were in the process of trying to negotiate a deal where he would carry stuff or guard things and be paid in booze or something, which is all he really cared about. And he was thinking about it. They were also trying to convince him to go to the Zentrum town and just, they've got alcohol, so go there and you'll get lots, right? Kind of send him off and have him cause a ruckus at their hated enemies. However, while they were working so hard on this, he was pretty dumb, so the complicated strategy wasn't working so well because he didn't really understand very well. Can I run from this fight? This might be unrunnable, actually. I never remember. This is one of those weird ones. I'll just fight him. Should be okay. Random encounter I have to pay attention to for a second. Sorta. But, yeah, so in the middle of their negotiations, they decided to feed the ogre. And, well, it turns out the food they gave him had a weird wild magic thing. Basically, they had done some crazy rituals earlier on that gave them a small enchanted item that lets you eat food, but it was connected to the cauldron, technically. But it had a chance of causing wild magic surges, the same as the sorcerer's wild magic surge, which can be beneficial or not, but it's a pretty low chance of it happening, and it's no big deal. But the ogre ate, like, all of it. So I'm like, well, that should probably trigger a surge. Also, narratively speaking, it was funny. So I rolled for it, and he got Summon Unicorn. Now, it was very interesting, because the party thought the unicorn would help them, because it's a good creature. The thing is, it's summoned friendly to the person who summoned it. So it was actually the ogre's friend. And the unicorns are very smart, compared to ogres. So it decided the best use of its time in the material plane was to help its ogre that summoned it get what it wanted, which was booze. And not in a violent way, but, like, it was negotiated. It basically became the ogre's lawyer. And the party was... We're very close. You can't keep doing this to me! Oh, we got it. Oh, okay. Put the ogre story on hold. If we beat the... I gotta focus on the Lich. If we win the Lich, I'll continue my story. Well, if I lose the Lich, I'll continue the story. There's not a lot we can do other than attack him, because he's immune to poison status. He doesn't get hit by blood. All we do is hold attack, but we need to do 400 damage. I'm going to count. 90. Not great start. 230. That's 320. We're doing real good. One more hit. And we win. I had a feeling that would not be the hard part. We did it, guys. It only took about 30 minutes. The same amount of time as it took to kill the vampire. And I just had to tell you an entire story. That's fine. We're going to go head over to the ice cave and do the same thing again. Nah, probably. While we're traveling over to the ice cave, I'll continue the story. Because it's a little bit... We're kind of at that phase in a solo challenge where there's not really much going on. Right? I mean, I've talked about it before. If you've never seen a solo challenge, maybe this is interesting. But there's not a lot of tactics here other than don't get paralyzed. So anyway, the ogre had the unicorn summoned to negotiate for it. And the group was not really impressed. You know, they thought they were going to kind of get one up on this dumb ogre. and it would do what they wanted, basically. And then the unicorn, being like a bit more legalese, was like, no, these adventurers aren't really trying. They're trying to, like, they rolled like an insight check or something. Like, no, they're trying to, like, take advantage of you here, ogre friend. And the ogre was still very confused. But the unicorn was like, well, tell you what, you want to go to this town that has all the booze, and the party is like, yeah, we want him to go there and get that booze. And the unicorn's like, okay, we'll go there then. And the unicorn just happens to have, like, the teleport spell or something, something like that. So it just took the ogre straight to the thing and just disappeared in a puff of smoke. And the party was like, oh, we wanted him to... Okay. And they're like, well, at first they're like, oh, that's good. He'll be in that town probably killing stuff. And I just sort of smiled, and they thought about it for a second. They're like, except he's got a unicorn. Like, they realized the unicorn would negotiate for the ogre as well, probably. And although they don't know yet, technically, the unicorn did negotiate the ogre a pretty sweet job working for the Zentrum to guard stuff, because he gets paid in booze and mostly sits around. And the Zentrum are really happy to have a big bruiser helping to help guard, like, you know, it's really funny. Something for them to find out about later, basically. Because they're planning on, you know, getting revenge at these guys because they stole their sled and then they stole their cauldron. And, of course, all the money for their payment as well. It's even worse. Is there any reason to go to Volcano? I'm just looking at... Before I conclude Ice Cave is the only option, is there any reason to go to the other dungeons? I guess we can probably equip flame armor. Volcano's not so difficult that we couldn't pull out the armor. It's right at the bottom, so we'd have to fight Carrie, but we could probably beat her. We could certainly grind on Agamas. There's no great swords in Volcano. We could get the Zeus's gauntlet out of Ordeals. Is that worth it? I don't know. Other armor. He can't... I'm going to double check that he can even equip the flame armor, but I'm pretty sure. Do I really go to Volcano just for the flame armor? There is, like, the fire glove and the ice glove. There's one of those in the two dungeons. But they're only if you have a thief. That's so dumb. It's one of the few things that might be worth picking up before you have ribbons, but you can't even get them without a thief. It's really annoying. I don't think that's appropriate. I think there should be an extra fire glove if you have a thief, not the only one. Because it's not that good of an ability. It's just okay. Headwear, again, is all behind the thief. Can't get immune to petrify or sleep or paralyze without a thief in your party. No other helmets. Can't use shields. And for armor... Yeah, we could pick up the flame armor. It's a pretty good upgrade. I think that's probably worth getting, but that might be it. Oddly enough. Technically, there's scale armor as well, which the Dark Knight can equip. But flame armor's better. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we go pick that up. And maybe I pick up the Zeus's glove. I'm really worried about the ice cave. I have not been doing very well in these last couple areas. So heal potion's good, pure potion's good. Trying not to over level. Oh, did I have a... I guess I could buy my level 6 spell, but it doesn't really matter. It's not going to help us, I don't think. So yeah, while we're going to Volcano, let's talk about... Well, so I had the giant... I had the ogre. They lost their cauldron. They left the town after... this is pretty recent now. We're almost caught up. And the Zentrum also took over another town, just because the party keeps struggling to win over friends. They're a very low charisma party. If you paid attention to my descriptions, we have a monk, a ranger, a wizard, and a fighter. None of them took any charisma skills at all. Literally 0. And I think they all have like 8 charisma. So they don't do very well at making friends. You know, they do their charisma checks, and there's a chance, but it's not been working out for them very well so far. So although they've got some allies, maybe 50-50, you know, half the towns hate them, half the towns think they're alright. So the last town they're at, you know, Zentrum agent managed to get elected as the mayor. Oops. Which kind of messed up their other plans for that town. They almost lost all their mead, their alcohol, and that's one of the things they were negotiating with the ogre. So they kind of lost the ogre in that bargain too. Unicorns, man. But they went on a little trip to go. They went back. Yeah, they wanted to recover the mead that was supposed to be delivered to the town they were in, and yada yada yada. So they did all that, and they actually caught up, did some good, you know, extended racing, like a chase sort of skill check thing. Caught up with some Zentrum agents, beat them up pretty bad, and in a fight, my party is like super strong. So once they just start laying hands against equal foes, they're great. Just not so good at negotiating with towns. Anyway, they recovered some of the stolen goods, and they even recovered a sled. Turns out the Zentrum have been making their own. Once they had one sled, the invention was out, and they started reproducing it, or at least trying to. So of course that's how they stole the cauldron, and now they're using it to travel between towns a little bit faster than normal, and carry around heavy stuff. So they've improved the logistics of the 10 towns. That's great. Just of course the enemies got it first, so you know, it's a bit rude. But yeah, they got it back, and they're heading back to town. They actually brought a whole bunch of villagers with them, which is not actually really good, because there's a lot of things in the road that will kill everybody. So my party, where I ended up the last episode, this is what I'm preparing now, basically. It's kind of why I'm trying to talk about it, is preparing for my next DM session on Sunday. They're escorting about 20 villagers back to their town, and they've got Axebeak / chocobos, and a sled with one captured prisoner and some casks of mead. And they're a little bit worn out. I might even give them the benefits of a short rest, because I think they forgot they could do that. You know, it's hard to remember stuff. But, yeah, there's our armor. Big upgrade. I honestly think that's pretty solid. And it does give you ice protection, so it's nice to have that before going into ice. Not that there's a lot of ice damage in ice, oddly enough, but sure, that'll help. Can we kill Carrie, you think? Just take her out while we're here? Probably. Actually, she's weak to status. This will be the easiest one ever. Might as well just wrap it up while we're here, I guess. Right, so they're on their way home. It's dark, of course. It's nighttime, and oh, this fight's gonna suck if they all cast Ruse. Please kill them quickly. Okay. Yeah, you can't actually blind me. I'm immune to it. Nice try, Wiz Ogre. Or Oni, your real name, eating babies. Apparently Ruse didn't do anything. He just died anyway. But yeah, so the group is heading home, and I wanted to give them like one more encounter. I'm trying to make sure I don't have too many adventuring days with just one big fight, because I don't want my new players to learn that they can just save all their resources for one fight, blow everything in one battle, and make it easy. It makes it really hard for me to balance if they just Nova every single encounter. So they've had a couple encounters. We need like one more before they're back to safety. So I'm going to have them be attacked on the road, because they've got a bunch of useless villagers. And they make a lot of noise. They're not very stealthy. They're not very... yeah, this is the easiest boss we've got, really. Not that Lich was very hard, but this is free, I think. Yeah. Okay, good enough. Boy, that was a really... Yeah, episode title, Volcano, most difficult dungeon in the game. And we got the one thing that mattered. Alright, we out. So, there are these, like, roaming ice berserkers out in the wastes, and I think what I'm gonna do is have them attack not the party per se, but their innocent villagers that they took with them, because they kind of underestimated the danger. I told them, I did definitely tell them, like, you guys know that being out on the roads, even for you level 4 adventurers, is pretty risky. For villagers with 4 hit points and no weapons and armor, this is like incredibly dangerous for them, and they might even just freeze to death if they're not careful anyway. Like, it's already pretty bad. They don't travel much in the middle of this. It's like the average temperature is negative 40 Celsius. So, like, it's bad. Like, you don't want to be outside, basically. And I maybe haven't emphasized how deadly it is. But they've been in blizzards and stuff. The party knows it's pretty scary. But anyway, they took these villagers with them. Whatever. They made their choice. So, it makes sense that they would attract some encounter. To me, at least. I think I cast Dark. Oops. Hey, that worked on 3 fish. Well, let's see how much damage we can do, just for fun. Almost 800 damage? Sure. Overkill. That's pretty good. It is, like, stupid amounts of damage to the point where it doesn't matter, but it is funny. Makes for the laugh. So anyway, they got all these villagers. They've got their birds. I don't really do mounted combat, so I just sort of ignore those. And they're a little bit low on resources. They've definitely spent some spells, spent some HP, all that. But what I'm going to do is have these berserkers probably attack the villagers first. They're not very smart. They're just kind of like freezing out in the ice. They're kind of crazy. They're just like insane ice berserkers. And they're actually quite strong. I'm not sure how many to send. This is my balancing discussion. I'm thinking of 3. But they've got a lot of hit points. They get 3 attacks, although their damage is pretty low per hit. But rather than going straight for the party, they're going to start going after villagers. And the quest, I feel like the challenge here is to protect as many villagers as they can. Killing the berserkers probably isn't super difficult, but killing the berserkers without all the villagers dying, that will be hard. So that'll give them a different objective than the usual, you know, kill all enemies before you die thing, which it's hard for me sometimes to come up with a good scenario where it's not just like what we're doing right here, you versus the enemies, whoever kills the others win, basically, or maybe you run away. But we've got a secondary objective of, alright, I'm just going to go get that Zeus's glove. That's probably worth it. We'll go pick it up. The Zeus's gauntlet will certainly make the sea travel slightly easier if I want to just use it. Assuming this ordeals isn't such an ordeal. But yeah, I've kind of got a plan. They are like barbarians. They go reckless attack with advantage, so they hit pretty regularly. But then they're very easy to be hit in consequence because they have they get advantage, but then enemies get advantage against them, kind of thing. But yeah, it should be fun. That's kind of my plan for the next encounter. I'm working on a secret dungeon for the Zentrum that have been their bonus enemy for this campaign and their all that stuff. Yeah, because that's all stuff that's not really part of the main campaign. So if you're playing Rime of the Frost Maiden, probably none of that will happen unless your DM is reading my mind. And your players are up to the same weird tricks that I am. But yeah, it's cool. It's a fun game. I'm definitely enjoying the campaign. I think I recommend Rime of the Frost Maiden for most people. You know, it's not for everybody, but I enjoy that book more than a lot of the other published adventures. Like, I know it's maybe a hot take, but I played through Curse of Strahd not that long ago. I did not. I feel like that book was bad. I know everyone thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread, but I don't. Maybe it's just how it worked with our group and our DM, but that was not fun. So that's why my Ice Maiden, Rime of the Ice Maiden, similar theme in some aspects, but way more fun, way more lighthearted. Feels like the party is accomplishing things, and less doom and gloom, which I think gets really old really fast. Maybe it's my age. Maybe if you're like edgy teenagers, you're cool with it. But I think for me and most of my adult players, we kind of just want to have fun and smack things more than we want to struggle. And I don't know if Strahd needs to struggle, but that's how it worked out for us. So if you've played Curse of Strahd, tell me your favorite time you got killed by vampires. Our favorite time when the DM clearly had to basically save us entirely was probably the one that I assume gets most players. Not just the Death House with the Shambling Mound, spoilers. I'm not going to care about spoilers for Strahd. Everyone's heard of that by now. But the second town where there's what's it called? I forget all these town names now. It's been a while. The second town, not the one right beside Strahd's castle, the one that's a bit further away. You get a fairly obvious quest for the Gravekeeper to investigate some stolen stuff, whatever. Pretty standard early game quest. And you find the guy that did it, and he's like a shambling mess. Like he's got nothing. And I think he just gave in immediately. I don't know if it's written like that in the book, but like he just told us where the stuff was instantly. And we went upstairs to grab it, and we found it easily enough. Like the quest would have been over right there with basically no skill checks or combat, which is, I mean, arguably kind of not that fun anyway, but whatever, you know. We were only like level 3 or something, so sure. But we basically resolved the quest, but up there was all these boxes, right? You're like, oh, we're all trying to investigate. We're trying to be like good players. This time I was a player rather than DM, of course. And, you know, there's these weird looking boxes in the attic of this weird old gravekeeper that seemed to be up to no good. So, of course, we had a paladin in the party. The paladin's like, I want to check those out. I think they used divine sense or something, so they knew something fishy was going on. And I think the DM tried to be like, ooh, it's spooky. But maybe they didn't make it obviously as scary as we needed. I don't know. I don't know if there was any amount of forewarning that would have saved us. But as soon as we touched one, I forget the exact number. It doesn't really matter. 5 or 6 or more vampire spawn attacked. And we're like level 3. They can almost one-shot us. And I think we tried. We're like, oh, uh-oh, vampires. Let's get some sunshine, right? Like, thinking maybe opening a window would help. No, in Barovia, in Curse of Strahd, there's no sun. There's no bright light ever. So opening, even during the day, opening the door or the windows to let in light, which is kind of your classic daytime protection from undead and vampires, didn't do anything. And we're like, okay, so these things can run faster than us. They can walk on walls. They can stun us, paralyze us, kind of like Final Fantasy 1 vampires. Ha ha ha. What are we supposed to do? And the answer was die. So that wasn't very fun. This fight is actually... 2 zombie Ds might actually be too much if I don't roll up. We need a good hit here right now. All right, and I need to not miss, or like I need like consistently good. Oh, there's barely a chance. Oh man, 1 step from victory. Well, it's not as bad as Earth or Ice. Might as well get it done now. Maybe I could have Zeus's Gauntlet. I don't know. Lightning damage isn't that good against these guys. Like, I think our sword hits hard enough that it's more reliable. But yeah, that was the one where I felt like it was just so obviously impossible. And I think, unfortunately, for most of the group, it was like, that was like our introduction, our low level, like, it was just like, touch a thing and the group dies. Now, he didn't kill us, but we had an obvious, like, we should have probably died. He had to find a way to bail us out last minute. Which, I don't know what you're supposed to do as a DM when stuff like that happens. I guess you need a backup contingency plan for the box that kills the party, I guess. Maybe, and like, this is my critique for stuff like Strahd. That's not the only one in Curse of Strahd. That's just one of the ones that hits you pretty early. I don't think that makes a good module. You know, I haven't found any of those in Rime of the Frost Maiden yet. I don't think they exist. Where there's just a set encounter that's just like, hi guys, by the way, your party is going to die here if you interact with this, with the environment, basically. You know, you describe a scene, you generally want your players to interact with stuff. That's, if it's actually very bad for D&D when the party ignores the stuff, right? If you choose to do nothing instead of doing something. And that's kind of what happened, right? So we, after that terrible encounter, we kind of stopped risking anything because it seemed like we couldn't. And for most of the rest of the campaign, even up until we were like pretty high levels, even though the DM was obviously giving us a fair amount of like bubble wrap protection, it wasn't always there. And the lesson we learned was don't engage with anything because, you know, what am I trying to say? If you touch the wrong thing, click, you know, like an old adventure game. You just get a game over, right? Like, so we never really bounced back from it. Like, I don't know how you could have recovered. This fight's not... I never died as zombie dragons this much. This is crazy. We're actually getting to the boss, but we can't even win because of Paralyze. Ugh. One of these days, we're going to get one zombie D and one shot him, and it's just going to be a joke. But we have no techniques here. There's nothing I can do to make this better. This is, unfortunately, the theme of today's episode is run away or die, or basically. And you can't run from that fight. So, yes, Curse of Strahd, that was... seriously, they've got stunned too? If our run chance was better, those sorts of encounters aren't as bad, but... I actually thought we would be hitting the dragons hard enough that they wouldn't be a problem, but... Paralyzed Touch, I guess, is just too much. But yeah, so that was kind of my experience with Curse of Strahd, and I've been, as a DM, very much trying to avoid that kind of... It's like teaching your players a bad habit. So when I'm evaluating a book, and I would say, like, again, there's some lesson here for Final Fantasy 1. If you learn that, like, sometimes people in the comments will be like, Blue, why don't you use this anymore? And it's like, well, I learned because the game taught me not to use that because it didn't work, or something else happened. I don't know. The game kind of used mechanics to show me it didn't work very well. So I stopped using it. And they're like, well, but it works here. I'm like, well, how would I ever know that? I've already moved on. I'm trying other things out, right? And that's a lot of my goals for Let's Playing, is actually to be a little bit more active on experimenting with things that I often just bench, or like I forget about and stop using. Because in casual play, I 100% stop using them. At least in a Let's Play, I try to show them off for science purposes, you know? I feel like the audience deserves to see them a little bit more, just for, even if it's doomed to fail, you know? And especially in D&D with real life parties, like it's easy to be like, well, we learned not to go on adventures. Now what? And boy, does that drag the campaign down fast. So anyway, that was my experience with Strahd, or at least one of them. I've got lots more. I think it's crazy overhyped, honestly. I know it gets the highest typical accolades. Everyone always rates Curse of Strahd as one of the best 5th edition modules, and I mean, it's got an interesting story. I'm not down on the actual background story. It was totally fine, but the actual content in terms of like encounter design and mechanics, not really a fan of that. Rime of the Frost Maiden seems a lot more player focused, at least. Okay, round 3. Sure, right? 134, not stunned, not stunned, 85, weak hit. Alright. Yeah, 2 more levels and it would have been probably killed in one less turn, but there you go, not too bad. Hey, we're still under an hour. We're doing alright. I just picked up a couple things for selling, basically, if you're wondering. Not that we need money super bad right at this second, but might as well have the cash, right? I'm wondering if I should get to level 24 before I deal with ice. It won't take that long, and I'm trying not to over-level, but we will get another swing, which is a pretty huge deal for us. And it's not very far away. Maybe we just fight some enemies up here, just for funsies. I don't grind up here all that often, so it could be interesting. I mean, somewhat interesting. Still probably better to do it by Crescent Lake with the free inn, but full healing is pretty efficient. We also started, so the same DM that did Curse of Strahd, probably not listening to this episode. If you are listening, I'm not trying to rag on you, I promise. We're starting Phandalin, which is the most played of all the 5th edition modules. And I think it's kind of notorious, but just like how Curse of Strahd had some kind of unwinnable encounters, feel free to leave comments if you have stories about Curse of Strahd that are familiar. We had the same thing happen. We just started this. We've only played 1 session, and again, spoilers for the first session of Phandalin as well. Mines of Phandalin, Lost Mines of Phandalin is the name. I probably don't need to spoil a campaign that's like almost 10 years old at this point. Level 1 characters against goblins. 4 goblins ambush you. Now, the DM did roll pretty well, and maybe we rolled a little low. Like, there's some random variation, of course. My character got crit on the first turn before I got an action. Now, he didn't die. Maybe he should have died, and the DM, you know, rolled low behind the scenes, which I might do once in a while myself, personally. So I don't know. I'll give him credit that he didn't actually kill me before I even got a turn in our first session. Thankfully. But I did take 9 damage out of 10 HP before I could move. And I did have 18 armor class. It wasn't like I made a weakling. So it didn't feel good. And that was my intro to Phandalin. And technically we did win. We killed 3 goblins and the other one ran away, which I'm going to assume it didn't have to. It could have stayed and killed us maybe. But it already felt like the DM was kind of maybe putting his thumb on the scale of the balance a little bit. But, you know, okay. So I'm playing a cleric this time. And I was at 1 HP. And we had a bard, a sorceress, and a fighter. The bard and the sorceress also got hit. Not crit, though. So they were only, like, at 3 hit points instead of whatever, 8 or something they started with. So I spent one of my 2 level 1 spells. That's what you get, right? And healed one of them. Because I was like, well, I only have 2. I want to keep the other one for emergency. Now, technically, I also have the Magic Initiate feat, and I have Wizard Magic Initiative from the Origin feat. So I have the Shield spell, but only the Shield spell as a 1 freebie per day. And that was why I'm like, well, technically, I can bump my armor class up to 23 for a round. So even though I only have 1 hit point, like, it's not too bad compared to them, who had 3 hit points and like 11 armor class, so anything would kill them. So I'm like, okay, I'll use my spell to heal them a little bit. So first encounter, anyway, we were down more than half our HP, like 3 people nearly dead, and a spell slot. I think the sorceress used a spell slot. I used a spell slot. So like I would say probably half our resources down on the first encounter. I'm like, okay. Then we travel towards the obvious quest, and 2 more goblins and a goblin boss or something, a big goblin, something stronger. And again, maybe the DM was a bit generous, maybe we rolled a little better. We managed to get the jump on them a little. Our bard went and tried to kill one in its sleep, but found out that you can't kill things in their sleep. And it just woke up and killed her instead, because even though I'd healed her to full, basically, once again, before I had an action, someone else was unconscious. So basically, the first action of the second round, I used my last spell slot to prevent a wipe, basically. Because I think once one of us was down, there were still 3 enemies. It was just going to get worse. Like, okay, well, Healing Word's a very good spell. So, okay, bring her back. Now I'm out of spells, basically, at this point. We do manage to win the fight. But again, we're down. I can't remember how much damage we took. I think the sorceress used her other spell slot, so the sorceress is basically tapped out. The cleric is tapped out. The bard maybe had 1 spell slot left. I can't remember. And the fighter was kind of chugging along, doing all right. That's kind of how fighters do, right? The thing is, that was 7 enemies. The encounter expects you to kill, I don't know how many more rooms in the dungeon, all at level 1. We go in and we dodge an encounter by doing some social interactions and stuff, and we kind of sneak up on the boss, and it's like a bugbear or something plus a couple goblins and a wolf. Kind of the same. It's like another fight that's basically as difficult as the last 2 fights, and we're like, well, I guess we got to try, you know. And I think we had a pretty good ambush on them at least. Maybe if that's all we had to fight, we could have barely squeaked out a win. But almost immediately, like 5 more goblins, or some number of goblins and wolves. I didn't really get a good look. I don't even know. Some extra number of goblins swarmed us while we were in there. And I was like, well, this is like, I think somewhere around 9 or 10 enemies all at once. And I was just like, yeah, it's GG, it's game over, man. It's too much. And yeah, we wiped 100%. we killed a few, but we didn't have a chance. And I think the bugbear crit. I got my second crit against me in the first session with my level 1 cleric, and I think he crit for 20 damage, which is double my HP, which is instant death. So that wasn't even like a go down and roll death saves. That was you're dead. No option. You're just dead. I was like, well, this is a great introduction for new players. And like, I know I'm not a new player, but this whole point of this adventure is supposedly Mines of Phandalin is built for new players and new DMs to be like, here's how you play D&D. And sure, the DM did roll some nat 20s, of course. You know, you can't account for that. But he had a lot of rolls. It wasn't like he rolled a nat 20 every time. He rolled 20 or 30 attacks, and a couple of them were crits. That's probability for you. Did I get? I want to get this last level up here. We're just at an hour. I can get my last level. And so we die, and the DM decides to fade to black that we actually get captured, and you know, we'll get a chance to escape or something. But man, what a morale blow right at the beginning, right? Like, I hope the group, like, I really think a lot of new groups would just disband immediately. Like, a lot of new players would be like, so this is D&D. Yeah, I'll just watch TV. It's fine. I don't need to play, right? Like, the worst intro you could possibly have. And I'm really not trying to blame the DM at all. You know, the dice are the dice. Sure, he probably could have done different, but he was following the book. He was doing what it said. And it just absolutely slaughtered us. So, if you're DMing Phandalin, or you're planning on DMing Phandalin, you might need to downgrade the number of enemies or something. I don't know. You gotta think about it. Do some balancing, some of that game developer stuff, because it's kind of like getting swarmed by 9 specters or 9 geists in Final Fantasy 1. You're stun locked. You're dead. Let's just show you guys what our new power level is, seeing as we now swing 3 times. Yeah, I think this is the point where Dark Knight starts outpacing some of the other damage dealers. We hit real hard, real well. So I would say this is as far as I want to level before Ice, because now there's sort of diminishing gains. We already deal enough damage to one-shot just about anything in Ice Cave. And we're not really getting stats when we level up, other than strength and HP hit percent and a little bit of magic defense. So I think this is as strong as I want, hopefully, because I would like to get those vitality bats to get some more HP growth. I mean, our HP is fine. It's not a big deal. But I think we'll call that our grind sesh before Ice. And that means that today, technically, we cleared Earth, cleared Volcano, cleared Ordeals, and grinded 4 levels to a big breakpoint. And we haven't tried Ice yet, but it, you know, Earth was a little bit demoralizing for me. You got to give me a little bit of a break. Today just turned into D&D stories with Blue. But I actually think it's pretty much proof that the Bastard Sword is not good enough. The Cobalt Sword, I think, is just better almost every other time. So we got a pretty good amount of money, and pretty good level. Hopefully enough. I'm a little bit concerned that our 61 magic defense and our still terrible luck and evade, I mean, it's better than it used to be, but levels aren't really going to change those much. So we have to do Ice to get into the sky to get promoted. And once we're promoted, we can eat all the bats, and suddenly our stats will be pretty solid. Plus, we can get a ribbon and everything. Everything will be pretty chill after we beat Ice, as is kind of tradition. Except the Dark Knight promotion is even awesome. We even awesomer. We're going to get an awesome new combat skill. And I'm really looking forward to it if we live. So, hopefully we live. I will meet you guys next episode for the Ice Cave. And get some more save cabins. I don't think I really need the houses. They're only for... I only used them there for the grind because I ran out of other save items. To be honest, we didn't really die there, did we? Like, I did all that grinding and basically just meleeed auto-battled through all the fights. Jack is strong. He's real good. But can he survive the terrible Ice dungeon? Will Blue have more D&D stories while he goes crazy fighting in Ice? Or will we just talk about Final Fantasy again, finally? Find out next time in Final Fantasy Renaissance Solo Dark Knight. Have a great day.